let's get on to our game of the weekend. And that is the season opener. And what a season opener this is. Birmingham City versus Ipswich Town at 8 tonight at St Andrews. A gigantic game. Not just because it kicks off the new campaign, but this is a meeting between the third favourite and the favourite for promotion this season, and perhaps even more significantly, a meeting between the two teams I had in my top two in my league table predictions. The biggest honour of all, but without a doubt, a proper how's your mother to kick off the campaign. But the question is that everyone has been waiting 3 long months for, Justin, is what derby is this?
Mr. Marcus Bent derby.
Yes!
One for one. One for one. Let's go.
1 for 1 for the season. There we go, ladies and gents. I mean, he played for an awful lot of clubs, so there's probably a few Marcus Bent derbies. But what a way to kick off the season. And whoa, what an occasion this is going to be. First game of the season. 2 highly fancied teams. Newly promoted side versus a newly relegated side. Birmingham, a club on such a high after smashing the record for the most points in the season. Ipswich hoping to bounce back at the first time of asking. I am buzzing for this, Justin.
Buzzing, yeah. Buzzing's the right one, isn't it? It is exciting because you've got, I wouldn't say you've got 2 titans, that's so cliched, but you've got 2 teams with big ambitions and Birmingham City with a big ego, and I think Ipswich maybe probably a little bit more humble, if you like. But Birmingham City swinging things around, money that is, and then you've got Ipswich who are just trundling along still in their tractor, as they did a couple of seasons ago when they went up automatically against the odds. But nonetheless, it is a team that is just full of quality here, and that adds to the occasion.
Yeah, Birmingham may be swinging other things around, but the atmosphere is going to be electric here. I mean, I keep talking about the Birmingham documentary, which I've just come off the back of watching, but the atmosphere is electric every week in League One. It's going to be amped up to the highest degree for this one, isn't it? The first game of the season where the optimism is through the roof at St Andrews. Yeah, I don't think I could think of a better season opener, really. And if the anticipation for this game could possibly be turned up any further, it has been with the news from the past couple of days involving Chuba Akpom. So it's a strange one. Birmingham were looking to sign him on loan. Then Middlesbrough tried to hijack that move, but he turned around and said, no, lads. Then Ipswich tried to hijack that move, and he was like, yeah, all right. Sorry, Birmingham. Despite being due to have a medical there, then Birmingham went back in, offering to buy him on a permanent, which Ajax, his club he was leaving, reportedly preferred. But Akpom's decided, no, he's still going to Ipswich. What a mad little saga, Justin, which has developed over a matter of days.
Literally 72 hours just between the first report and then the last report, if you like. It's been incredible to watch because we don't get transfer sagas very often in the Championship, and this has been sort of tootling alongside the Benjamin Sesko one, RB Leipzig and Man United, Newcastle, or anyone Newcastle are trying to sign essentially getting hijacked with every deal. So it's been nice to have a proper saga in the Championship. As I say, we don't get them very often, so this has been exciting, but also just the comments have been coming out with the bitterness. Oh no, funny bitterness, if you like. I think Birmingham fans have taken it in jest because, by all means, they've signed a good player themselves, which we'll get onto in a moment. But with this just adds a little bit extra. Completely pointless and needless, by the way. Yeah. But there's a bit more narrative here. Yeah,
it's just made it into a little bit of a mini rivalry for this game, hasn't it?
the Chuba Akpom derby in the next one.
Yes, exactly. And you talk about everything there. It has made the game even more interesting if it was even possible. And I think it's a very, very good signing because, as we all know, Akpom scored a stupid amount of goals last time he was in the Championship with Middlesbrough. And to be honest, I was under the impression before this whole saga started that it hadn't really worked out for him since leaving Borough. But he's been averaging a league goal every 148 minutes at Ajax and Lille, where he was on loan last season. I assume he'll be playing as the number 9 because that's where Ipswich obviously need to strengthen, but he was prolific as a number 10 at Middlesbrough. Either way, it's always quite difficult to see a player struggling under Kieran McKenna. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he scored a lot of goals and Birmingham look back on this saga in a few months' time and go, really wish we did get him, actually. Or maybe they won't, depending on the players who they've got coming in. But as I say, we'll get onto that shortly. But back to the game, Justin. What a great opportunity for Birmingham City to show what they're all about heading into this new campaign where, as you say, they're swinging stuff around.
Swinging loads of things around. I said it in our league prediction show, but Chris Davis said that they were only viewed as underdogs twice last season, both in the FA Cup against Premier League opposition. So now we've got this scenario where that underdog tag will be present, but also will it? Because who is the underdog heading into this game? Obviously, you look at Birmingham and say, well, they've just come up from League One. Naturally, you're going to side with Ipswich, but you mix in the fact that Birmingham are at home. We know what the atmosphere is going to be like. As you said, it's been incredible. I think something that's worth pointing out is since covering the Championship on this show, we've not seen a Birmingham City proper popping, have we? Of course, in the big games against the Aston Villas when the derbies were present, but we've not seen a really, really buzzing Birmingham City, not properly, because of course the previous ownership and lack of ambition, etc. So this is going to be great to see. It's going to be great to see. It really is. And as I say, that adds a little bit extra, more for Birmingham City because all the eyes are going to be on them. The documentaries come out, the money's being spent, and everyone's got it in for Birmingham City, which I'm sure they'll enjoy.
Yeah, well, they've probably been the most talked about side in the build-up to the new season, haven't they? Apart from Sheffield Wednesday, of course. And everyone seems to have an opinion on whether they are a genuine automatic promotion contender. I think from their perspective, they've just got to ride that crest of a wave, haven't they? And show no fear. And you mentioned there, Justin, about how they were the underdogs in the FA Cup. They gave Newcastle a right good old game in the FA Cup, didn't they, a few months ago? And Ipswich aren't far off that standard. That's the level Birmingham want to be at. So it's a great test for them. Also unbeaten at home in the league since April 2024. This is almost certainly going to be their toughest game at St Andrews of the season. So if they can avoid defeat, I wouldn't be betting against them staying unbeaten at home for possibly the entire season. You never really know. Well, they're not getting too back, Pom. But Birmingham have signed Marvin Duksch, the German striker featured in all but 2 games for Werder Bremen in the Bundesliga last season. He scored 32 goals and got 23 assists, 55 goal contributions, that is, in his last 99 Bundesliga appearances, and was called up to the German national team the season before last. And they've reportedly signed him for £2 million. I don't really understand this move, Justin. I can't profess to having watched him loads apart from highlights, but everything suggests it's ludicrous that Birmingham City have got him for £2 million, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, he's 31, so he's at the wrong age. But if you're buying players who are going to have an immediate impact, then get someone whose record consists of, well, I don't want to do the numbers because there genuinely is too much to add up. It's 71 goals and 34 assists in 138 2 Bundesliga games, or Bundesliga second tier, that is. And obviously you reeled off his recent record for Werder Bremen. The man knows where the goal is, but he also knows how to get the best out of his teammates. There's such a fluid player here. He's one of those that's going to like operating in deeper positions. A forward player who gets that many assists is going to do that. And I guess he's a sort of similar profile to Chuba Akpom, where there's a second striker element there, which actually is going to be a great folly for Kyogo Furuhashi. Because that's one thing I was worried about with Furuhashi. He's a poacher, so he's very good in the box. So he needs players around him who are going to give him the ball. And Duksch is going to do that. Goodness me, with those creative numbers, how did they get him? No idea. Because you've got a player who's operating at this sort of level, with this sort of quality, coming into the Championship. No disrespect to the league that we love. Oof, wow, yeah, things are swinging.
Yeah, I think he may be a bit offended by you calling him a douche just then. Duksch. It's like try saying my surname in a Dutch accent. That's how you say it.
Douche, yeah.
Rude. Yeah. But yeah, I think I don't really understand how this signing has come about and how they've managed to get him so cheaply, because the numbers are ridiculous. Maybe there's some other factor at play here. I don't really know, but everything points to this being a ludicrous signing, and Birmingham really seem to be getting their Dukes in a row. Have you seen his? Have you seen his back tattoo, by the way, Justin? It's absolutely obscene.
It is. Someone who's just recently got 2 more tattoos myself. I'm well versed in getting inked. So not to that level by any means. Mine are very subtle.
Describe it for anyone who's not seen it.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
It's Pennywise, isn't it?
It's Pennywise the clown from It. Yes, and that's what I mean. It is terrifying, and his poor partner who's going to be applying sun cream on his back in his summer holidays has got to look at that in the eye.
Yeah, imagine waking up to that in the middle of the night.
Shit the bed. Oh my god! I didn't even think about that. That is that's awful.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I don't understand tattoos at the best of times, but that seems mad. But he seems like a good footballer, so he can have whatever the hell he wants on his back. So it's the start of what could be an amazing season for Birmingham City, Justin. But Ipswich will also be hoping for a brilliant campaign, of course. However, I did a video on the Second Tier YouTube channel this week, and it was assessing who's got the hardest and easiest starts to the season. I ranked Ipswich as having the hardest. That's because in their first 5 games, they've got to face Birmingham, Southampton, and Sheffield United, i.e. the next 3 favourites in the betting for promotion this season after Ipswich. They've also got Derby, who many are expecting to go well. Preston, perhaps the kindest game in there, but it is away. So a rough welcome back to the Championship for the Tractor Boys, Justin.
Yeah, it certainly is bumpy. And an awkward set of fixtures. I've said it time and time again on this show that your first 5 or 6 games can really impact a title charge. So if Ipswich do have aspirations of automatic promotion, which I'm sure they will, getting wins on the board early on is important. And as you say, you are served with a very difficult set of fixtures. You've got to play Southampton, obviously you've got to play Birmingham. Derby have spent money, so as you said, people are predicting them to go well. Preston's a nice bit of respite, but a good thing to point out, as you did, is at Deepdale, and their record at Deepdale isn't awful. So yeah, it's awkward, but these are the games you've got to win to ensure that you are top of the league come the end of May.
You say it's going to be bumpy, Justin, but what vehicle would you want to go over some bumps? That's right, a flipping tractor. And the Ipswich are going up tractor. We'll be looking at those fixtures and be thinking, yeah, nothing on us. I suppose what you can say is, if Ipswich come out of the other side of those 5 games smelling of roses, then you would start to worry about how much of a title race we may have this season. Alternatively, as you say, Justin, it may give them an early wobble that really brings down the mood after what was, of course, a pretty disappointing season in the Prem. So that sums up how much of a big game this is for Ipswich tonight. Amari Hutchinson may be included in the squad for this game, despite links with a move away. The Athletic say Ipswich rejected a £35 million offer from Nottingham Forest on Wednesday. Brentford, Everton, Inter Milan and RB Leipzig have also been linked. I would say it's going to be unlikely that they keep hold of him, Justin, but as I was saying yesterday, do they really need him? Yes, obviously a better team with him, but Ipswich are just so stacked that I don't think the blow would be as big as it would be for other teams losing a player of his quality.
They are losing a talisman if he does go, but like you said, there are players who can step in. And Connor Chaplin's probably going to play in a similar position, just off the striker. So, and he scored a hell of a lot of goals for Ipswich over the years. And having suffered a fair bit of injury as well, he's going to be chomping at the bit to want to get back up to it. So, I do agree. If they do lose Hutchinson, it's not a huge blow. It's not like someone else is losing a key player. It's their only key player. Ipswich have got players to come in and do the business. That being said, Amari Hutchinson gives you a very good chance of getting promoted. So having your best players and the best possible players is important. But will they keep him? No. But they'll certainly get a fair bit of money for him, so they can go out and get whoever they want.
Yeah, well, rejecting a £35 million bid when you're a Championship club isn't bad going, is it? And I guess what they're probably saying to him is, look, we think we'll be back in the Premier League next season. Our plan involved us expecting to get relegated last season, but then building a squad so that we're in a much stronger position the next time we're in the Prem, and we'll be in a very good position if you stay. Now, from his perspective, a footballer's career is short, so he wants to play in the Premier League. That's completely understandable. He may even think he has an outside chance of getting in the England squad for the World Cup next summer. I don't know. Either way, Ipswich would obviously like to keep him, but if they get 40 million for him, Ipswich could do a lot with even just a quarter of that. So really, I think whatever happens, I struggle to see Ipswich losing in that scenario. I think they're going to come out of it in a pretty good position, whatever the case. They have been dealt a big blow, though, because left-back Connor Townsend has torn his ACL after getting injured in a friendly last week. Leif Davis might be missing as well for the Birmingham game due to a knock. He's also reportedly been attracting interest from the Premier League, so it looks like they may have to sign a new left-back, but an early problem for Ipswich in their first game of the season, Justin, not ideal.
It's not a headache you want. You want your fully fit squad. You want players coming in. Disappointing for Connor Townsend, obviously, because again, if Leif, he's a very good understudy, isn't he, for Leif Davis? And he's a very good attacking wing back and would complement the Kieran McKenna system. But he's obviously going to be missing. And with Leif Davis, there's a very good wand of a left foot. Really, there's no other way of describing it. It's a magical piece to have in the sorry.
It's a magical item.
It's a magical piece of anatomy on Leif Davis is his left foot because of the quality it delivers. So there's an element there that Kieran McKenna might have to reshuffle around. But look, Ipswich have got a stacked squad. We know this, and I think losing a left back isn't going to be the worst thing to happen to them.
Well, it's a good thing they've got Ashley Young, haven't they? His legs may be going, but they've got him who can still fill in there if Davis isn't fit for tonight. But yeah, as I say, I think they'll have to sign a left back, and it's not something they were probably prepared to do until this injury came about. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do in that regard before the season, before the transfer window closes. But Justin, Birmingham v Ipswich tonight. Who is winning this game for you?
It's impossible to call. It really is. Look at me, sat on a fence. Who knew? I would like to opt for a high-scoring draw, to be honest. We know the quality Ipswich possess going forwards. We know the firepower Birmingham have recruited. So why not bring all of that in and just please everybody, please the neutrals. Say it's going to be a 2-2 or wow, maybe a 3-3. That would be absurd.
It'd be a great start to the season, wouldn't it? But I'm similar to you. I really can't call this game. Ipswich are the stronger team, don't get me wrong. And I don't think we'll see Birmingham at their strongest until the end of the transfer window. But at the same time, I just think the atmosphere is going to be electric. Birmingham will be so up for this after last season. And I don't usually like going for a draw because it's always the least likely outcome. But I just can't choose between them. So I'm going to have to go for that, I think. I think if Ipswich win, it will be such a statement result on their behalf because this will be one of their trickiest games of the season, if not the trickiest. And I would start to fear for the rest of the division if they come out of it with 3 points.
It's a good point, actually. I mean, we saw Luton Burnley last season. Burnley absolutely hammer Luton, which was a surprise in the manner in which they beat. I'm not suggesting this is going to happen in this game, but it lays down a marker for the rest of the division that, look, this is what we've got. We're not quite up and firing yet, but this is what we can do on the very first game of the season. Like you said, if Birmingham win, what statement does that send out to the rest of the division as well? So there are a couple of interesting outcomes should either side win, but as I say, please the neutrals. 2-2, 3-3. Big high scoring draw for me.
Yeah, what a game it's going to be, though. I cannot wait. We cannot have asked for a more glorious game to kick off the season from the older fixture computer. So thank you very much to that little machine. The other big game of the weekend is another very interesting one, but it's for the wrong reasons. That's Leicester City versus Sheffield Wednesday at 4:30 on Sunday afternoon. It comes after the most chaotic summer a Championship club has ever dealt with, of course, with Sheffield Wednesday. We've gone over all of that so many times now, but this game itself is already looking like a bit of a shambles. Sheffield Wednesday have just 10 players over the age of 21 to choose from. It comes after the BBC reported that the EFL have imposed further restrictions by refusing to register new player contracts unless the owner can provide assurances that he can satisfy the payments. So it's unclear whether Barry Bannon is registered to play in this game despite signing a new contract this week. Sky Sports say the Wednesday players had been considering boycotting the game due to late payment of wages, but decided against it after legal advice. Meanwhile, protests are expected from the travelling Wednesday supporters. The Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust is urging fans to take to their seats 5 minutes after kickoff needs to leave an empty away end with only a banner displaying a message for the owner, Depon Chansiri, clearly visible to the Sky cameras. There's also going to be a plane flying over the ground at the start of the match with a message for Mr. Chansiri. So, yeah, the result of this game is pretty much a sideshow, actually, to everything else that's going on, Justin.
I think the ironic thing is if Wednesday weren't having the troubles they're having, then Leicester are probably another club that are somewhat in crisis considering their troubles. But with Wednesday, yeah, it's times 1,000, isn't it? I think credit to the Wednesday supporters. They've sold out their away allocation. So despite the uncertainty over who's going to be playing, despite the uncertainty of the future of the club, actually, and the most chaotic summer, as you pointed out, a championship club has ever had to deal with, the fans are still showing up, which is all you can ask for. And I think with the few players that are left there, how much of an encouragement that would be for them. So, as I say, credit to those supporters. And I think any protest, as long as it's within the law, if you like, it's going to have an impact. It really is. And with the game being on Sky, there's a real opportunity for Wednesday supporters to make their feelings known and get the conversation going, because we see wider media not picking this story up as consistently as others, when really Wednesday are a historical club, huge club, and it's been left to ruin.
Yeah, well, I never think it was really in doubt that Wednesday fans would still travel in their numbers because they're one of the best away travellers in the Championship, really, or maybe even the country, because they're an absolutely massive club and they're still going to support their club through thick or thin. And this is pretty thin at the moment, or thick. Which one's the good one in thick or thin? I don't know. Either way, whichever one it is, Sheffield Wednesday fans are certainly experiencing one extreme on that front, aren't they? Protests are also being planned for Sheffield Wednesday's first home game of the season next week, so plenty going on off the pitch. One final thing we'll say is we're obviously going to be doing our banker and outsider predictions very shortly, Justin. A public service announcement. We've come to a gentleman's agreement not to pick any games involving Sheffield Wednesday for the foreseeable future, because otherwise they're going to get a bit farcical when we're each picking whoever's facing Sheffield Wednesday as our banker each week. So it is something we may revise later in the season, but it would sort of defeat the point in having any predictions if we kept picking them. So we will keep talking about them in each previous show. We may even have a Sheffield Wednesday corner, because it's important to keep talking about what's going on there, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, it's an important topic, because as something that I said on this show time and time again, it can happen to any club. It doesn't matter who you are, what circumstances you've got. Any club can find themselves in this position, because all it takes is an owner to just pull the funding. That's what can happen. So it's important to speak about this. I know we've got the football legislator who's coming into place, which is great, but we need to stop. Okay, I'm sick of saying it, but we need to stop having scenarios like this. It can't be the case, but unfortunately it is. And we've got Sheffield Wednesday, another one. Our third or fourth we've covered on this show who've happened upon this: Reading, Wigan, Derby, and obviously now Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah,
and this is by far the worst one yet, isn't it? So we of course applaud Wednesday fans protesting and doing what they can to try and force Chansiri's hands, and hopefully it makes some sort of a difference going forward. And we'll obviously keep covering it as well, Justin, because it's our job. We'll have a quick break. After that, we'll get on to our banker and outsider predictions across the Championship this opening weekend. Welcome back to the Second Tier podcast. This is the preview show where we're looking ahead to the opening weekend of the Championship season. And it's obviously the preview show where Justin and I will each pick a banker at a team we think is guaranteed to win this coming weekend, as well as an outsider. So someone we think is going to win, but is bigger odds with the bookies than their opponent. We are once again tracking how we do as the season goes on. It's 1 point for a correct banker, 2 points for an outsider. Justin was last season's winner, which means I have to be a mascot at an EFL game this season, which will be happening at some point in the near future. Ladies and gents, don't worry, I am working on it. But we need a new forfeit for this season, Justin. Have you given any thoughts to this?
Bluntly, no. But then again, I think it has to be a challenge that makes you feel uncomfortable. And I don't think putting you in a pair of shorts and a football shirt, as you wear a lot anyway, making you a mascot is going to make you feel uncomfortable. I think, me being me, I'd like to see you in a fair bit of discomfort. And it has to be something around that, I think.
Well, I was thinking something like maybe a 24-hour live stream of some sort would be good. On camera for 24 hours, repeatedly saying the winner of the predictions is the better championship expert or something like that. I don't know. We'll put it out to the listener. If you have a suggestion for what we should do as a forfeit, then let us know. secondtierpod@gmail.com, or if you're a Patreon, let us know your suggestions on there as well. We'll do a vote at some point. I do like the 24-hour live stream, though, because I think that would just be painstaking, plus really good content for all our listeners and viewers. But anyway, let's get on to our predictions for the opening weekend, shall we? We'll kick things off with Justin's banker. What have you gone for, Justin Peach?
I've gone with QPR to win at home to Preston on Saturday afternoon. I think QPR at Loftus Road, starting the season off with the attack that they have, I'm fancying them to beat Preston. When we talk about positive transfer windows, QPR have had a much better one than Preston. Preston have signed players you would expect Preston to sign, which what I mean by that is very mid-table, very sort of been around a little bit in the Championship and not really exciting. Put them all together and they might be very functional, but what QPR have done instead is they've got flair, they've got quality. Kwame Poku's come in, there's Karameka Dembele who was obviously there last season, but there's certainly the attacking talent that they've got at their disposal is very, very exciting. And then you mix that with the likes of Jimmy Dunn signing a new deal, Jonathan Varane as well. It's, as I said in our our prediction show, it's a very fun-looking squad. It's a very good vibe squad as well. And it's one that I'm certainly looking forward to getting going. And when you compare it to Preston, who have had a slow pre-season when it comes to recruitment, Paul Heckingbottom said last season needed to put a bomb under the squad to reset it. Haven't really done that. Michael Smith's come in, Daniel Jefferson's come in as their strikers. Lot to be desired. I'm looking at that and thinking, where's the creativity? They'll be very functional and difficult to break down, I think. But with that QPR attack that I just mentioned, it's going to open things up, and that will could well open up Preston.
We all know how hot I've been on QPR over the summer. A win here would be a great start, but the pressure is massively on Preston after how shocking they were at the end of last season. We obviously predicted them to go down. I predicted Paul Heckingbottom to be the first manager to go. The alarm bells may start having a little tinkle if things don't go well here.
Tinkle. Good tinkle. Little tinkle. Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, Ryan Lowe lasted one game, so Paul Heckingbottom has a low bar this season after... Obviously, Ryan Lowe after one game last season, but I think that pressure that's something that we need to lend to. Actually, is they do need to get off to a fairly steady start, Preston, and they have done that in previous years. If you look at last season aside, they have been sort of in and around the top six under Ryan Lowe come September, October, and then it has dropped off naturally. So I wouldn't typically rule that out, but at the same time, I look at the squad and I just think it's short of attacking flair and quality. It's short of pace. The wing-back situation is certainly a downgrade on what they had last season. Obviously, King Kessler-Hayden was there last season. There's Paul Valentin. He's come in, and Thierry Small, who is exciting, but is he an upgrade on Kessler-Hayden right now? Probably not. There's just a lot to be desired with Preston, and with QPR, I just think they're in a much better position, a much more settled position than North End.
Let's go to my banker for this weekend. It's Southampton to win at home to Wrexham at Saturday lunchtime. The start of the next chapter in the Wrexham story. Their first game in the second tier in 43 years. On Wednesday, it was 3 years to the day that Wrexham were playing Eastleigh in the National League. Southampton were playing Tottenham in the Premier League. And now they face each other in the same league. Wherever you sit when it comes to Wrexham, it has been a mad rise, and they'll fancy their chances of bloodying the nose of one of this season's big boys. But in reality, this is a very tough game for Wrexham. I think they're going to have a slow start. Part of that is down to my continued reservations over the manager's ability at this level, but mostly because Wrexham are still assembling their squad. The team they've come up with wouldn't have been able to stay up in the Championship. Simple as that. So they needed to strengthen. They've started doing that in the past couple of weeks with Josh Windass, Lewis O'Brien, Connor Cody, Keith Moore, all of them joining. but they need a lot more. And so right now, Southampton's squad is streets ahead of Wrexham's. A few question marks over certain areas and who's looking likely to actually be playing, but I can see them giving Wrexham a pretty rough welcome to the Championship tomorrow lunchtime, Justin.
That's an interesting one because on paper, yes, absolutely, 1,000,000%, because the squad that Southampton do pose is frightening, really, the amount of quality they've got. Just the amount of strikers they've got who could be a starter for any team in the Championship is there to be seen. But with Wrexham and their style of play, it does offer up a little bit of uncertainty from a Southampton point of view. You mentioned bloody the noses. I think that you mean that probably metaphorically, but I can take that physically as well, because if there's a team who are going to do that, it's going to be Wrexham. Now, I'm not suggesting they're dirty Wrexham, but they've got a lot of big boys. They play very direct, and I think that will make Southampton very uncomfortable. Now, I'd be surprised if Saints don't win this, but bloody the noses is the best way of putting it.
Yeah, and they're definitely going to get in the faces, aren't they? Especially with the likes of Big Keith there, getting into flying some elbows about. So yeah, I'm sure they will look to get in Southampton's faces, but with the amount of talent they have at their disposal, I think they'll be very disappointed. Even though Wrexham obviously have a big budget, I think they'll be very disappointed to not get 3 points from this one. While we're on Southampton, Justin, they've reportedly had a bid rejected for Jack Redoni at Coventry. It's said to be well below the asking price, and it's unclear if Southampton will go in again for him. That would be a serious signing, though, wouldn't it?
Jack Redoni, yes, absolutely would. He's a player who's got an incredible dead ball delivery. His creativity came into its own last season. Annoyingly, Mark Robbins didn't really know what to do with him in that first sort of third of the season. Obviously, Mark Robbins was then sacked. Frank Lampard pushed Jack Redoni higher up and in central areas, and that really got the best out of him. So if we are going to praise Frank Lampard, and at no point do we have to in this, there is one thing there you can throw at him, is that he got the very best out of Jack Redoni, because goals and assists were there. He's a good contributor in that sense, and Coventry fans will tell you he's better than Joe Bellingham, despite Joe Bellingham signing for X amount of money to go to Dortmund and being given a number 7 shirt there. So Southampton could sign a player who's better than the Champions League. Someone who's going to be playing in the Champions League, shall we say? Well,
if you listen to my our league table predictions yesterday, I did raise a few concerns about Ryan Fraser looking like he may be playing as
That's a problem.
number 10 going forwards. Jack Redoni would be a fairly decent upgrade on him, I think it's fair to say, because he was unbelievable for Coventry last season, without a doubt their best player and one of the best in the division. So if they were to get him, that would be a serious move and really knit a lot of things together and fill what looks like maybe a bit of a problem position if Southampton were to lose Fernandez or Dibbling this coming summer as well. So yeah, a proper good signing that would be. By the way, we didn't actually mention this in the rest of our league table predictions over the past couple of days, Justin, but we did say on Sunday's episode that we were going to have a season bet on who would finish higher out of Watford and Wrexham. We shook hands on that. We didn't actually say how much we were putting on it. I was thinking the usual £50. Is that all right with you?
What do you mean the usual?
Well, we did £50 last season. You didn't pay it up because you never pay up your bets. But
what bet was that?
Last season, it was Stoke to finish above 14th.
No, that's disgraceful because that's not on me. That's Jonathan Walters.
Well, I mean, it's what you bet on, so it sounds like a problem. That does.
We'll go double or quits then with this.
Okay. Fair enough.
Oh shit! No! I
was going to say.
I completely forgot what that meant.
But £50 though?
Oh, fine. Yeah, go on then.
Do we want to do any more little stakes between you and I for the season, or do you want to just let them flow as the season goes on?
We'll just let them flow as the season goes on. We don't need to force them now. There'll be times where you get irked and you go, "Well, I can't be," and then I'll say, "Yeah, fine. Let's put £5 on it," and then I won't pay up.
No. Because you don't. But let's go to your outsider, Justin. And it's a rematch of one of the playoff semi-finals last season, isn't it?
It is. It can't be the other one, can it? Because something got promoted. What a turn for the books that is. I've gone with Bristol City to win away at Sheffield United on Saturday evening. Oh yes, I am. I do fancy Bristol City. I think they're in a much, I would say, calmer position than Sheffield United. And the reason why I say that, and Sheffield United fans might disagree, is when we were recording our prediction show and we spoke about Sheffield United, I paused for a moment, and it really dawned on me that they haven't really signed anybody. There's only been a few additions into the squad. Whereas I think when you compare it to Bristol City haven't had wholesale changes either, or had a summer influx of signings, but actually they're a more settled squad. And I much prefer settled squads going into an early stage of the season because it's just continuity. Now, there is the new manager of Gerhard Struber to come in, but with that, I think there's an exciting style of play where he's got a great abundance of players who can really, really thrive in that, in-your-face, high-pressing system that Struber will deploy, the likes of Jason Knight, Max Bird, Adam Randall, Ross McCory at wing-back, etc. A lot of players are going to thrive under it. Sinclair Armstrong, Emil Rees up top as well. And I think that might shock Sheffield United a little bit. Tyler Binden's come in on loan. I like the signing. I really do like the signing, but I would say it's a downgrade on Anil Ahmedhodzic, who I rate very highly. Of course, he's left. And we're so far left scratching our heads as to, where Sheffield United are going to recruit and replace players, because there's no senior right back. Femi Sariki is there. Jamie Shackleton is there. Shackleton's injured. Sariki's still very inexperienced and young. And you're left scratching your head a little bit. Attacking looks fine. Lou Barry's come in, and there's been several players that have come in from Bulgaria, but the squad looks very unsettled. And I don't like that. Whereas Bristol City look very settled. And when you've not got form to rely on, you've got to look at what's happened over the summer.
Yeah, that all makes sense, Justin. I'm not massively high on Bristol City this coming season, but Sheffield United I am slightly concerned about because of what you mentioned there, the transfer business that they've done. Their squad is looking very top-heavy for me right now, so they definitely need to make some additions, particularly at the back. They have been linked with Charlie Hughes from Hull as a replacement for Ahmedhodzic. Would you be a fan of that one?
I mean, Hull are looking for upwards of 17 million, so if Sheffield United are going to stump that up, then yeah, I would be a fan of it, because Charlie Hughes is a very good centre-back.
Would you be a fan of 17 million?
Not for 17 million. For full context, they're looking for more than what Ipswich paid for Jacob Greaves, who we know is a very talented player and has got a year of Premier League football under his belt, compared to Charlie Hughes, albeit Hughes is younger. That being said, if they were to pay it, it would be a good signing, because Hughes is a very good player. But 17 million, I might just say no for now. That being said, Sheffield United need defenders. They need defenders, so it doesn't matter how much they pay for them. They've got to fucking get them.
Yeah, they've got to get some in, haven't they? As well as a replacement for Vinny Sousa, unless the new lad on loan from Portugal is going to be the one for that. But who knows? Let's go to my outside at 4 this weekend. It is Derby County to win away at Stoke on Saturday afternoon, you fucking Rams. Derby have caught a lot of eyes with their transfer business over the summer. It may even get to the point where you can start claiming they've won the window. Obviously, still a few weeks to go, so a lot can change, but so far, you could definitely make a claim for it. They've nearly addressed every area of weakness. Could it be better in places? Yeah, absolutely. But compared to how the squad looked at the start of the window, blooming heck, it's been transformed. And so I'm expecting them to go very well this season, particularly under a manager who I think we all rate very highly. John Eustace has done incredibly well over his last 2 to 3 seasons at this level, and Derby fans are properly dreaming with him in charge for the first time in a while. And they go to a Stoke side who I'm not feeling as optimistic about. For full disclosure, I've seen loads of other content creators on the Championship have Stoke to improve on last season. The average position seems to be around 17th, 18th. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's absolutely fine. Me personally, I just don't see where that's coming from. Stoke are a club who have been on the decline for a long time, and I'm not seeing why that has changed in a lot of people's minds. So I think this is a great opportunity for Derby. They've also got a tricky start to the season with the fixtures, so this is probably one of their more winnable games and could do with getting a result of some sort from this one. So yeah, Derby to win away at Stoke this weekend.
Yeah, Derby certainly had an exciting transfer window. And I'm a Derby fan, but I think it's in everyone's best interest that they finish 10th this year and not actually go for promotion, because you will be insufferable, even for me, being a Derby fan. It'll be a difficult year.
Why would it be insufferable?
I don't know. I just feel like it would. Any success, you'll enjoy it. Your impartiality will lapse a little bit.
No, because you're meant to be a Derby fan as well. You're meant to be enjoying it as well, you tit.
I'll enjoy it. I'll enjoy it in my own time. Not when I'm trying to be professional over here, but with that in mind.
Everyone must be surprised that you actually enjoy football, because if you don't want your own team to do well, then we've got a problem.
Oh no, I thrive on sadness. That's me. But with Derby going away to Stoke, it's a difficult game. We go back to, this was of course the game on the final day of the season, which ultimately decided Derby's fate and Stoke's fate, but it wasn't in their hands in the end, which is a good thing. It was the worst game I've ever watched live. Both teams definitely played out for a draw. Not saying they're going to play out for a draw here, but the way Stoke will line up, in that defensive recruitment has been a priority this summer. It's going to be a difficult game for Derby to break old Stoke down. Now, Derby have signed some good attackers, but is that going to be enough? I don't know. That's the thing. And of course, I'm scarred by a year of watching a very blunt Derby team. So it'll be interesting to see. What they do going forward.
Well, you mentioned how they've signed some exciting attackers, and it's got even better with one new addition in particular. On Tuesday night, Bobby Clark has joined on loan for the season from RB Salzburg. The 20-year-old left Liverpool to move to Austria for £10 million last summer. According to the Newcastle Chronicle, he rejected moves to Leeds and Sunderland because he was going to be made a squad player there, and chose Derby because he was promised regular first-team football. And on the face of it, this looks a brilliant signing, Justin. Yeah,
it does. Certainly looks exciting. He's obviously highly rated, and he's gone to the Red Bull system, if you like, and he's been picked up there, and he played 25 games, I think, for RB Salzburg, which is an impressive amount. And he's still growing, he's still learning, and he's as you say, he's highly rated. He looks like an exciting player, so it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to playing in the Championship. And of course, if you're looking at players who are going to try and make a difference, Derby signing quality wide players is important, or quality technical players going forward is important, and Bobby Clark fits that bill. So yeah, Derby's front makeup looks a lot more interesting this year than it did last year. That's all we can say. Just depends how it all blends together.
I think I'm right in saying that Derby played RB Salzburg in a pre-season friendly. Correct, yeah. And Derby fans were chanting to Bobby Clark, Liverpool reject. And now he's at Derby.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
He's forgiven them at the very least. But I did say on Tuesday's episode, when we were talking about Derby, the big issue I had was creativity. A creative midfielder was the glaring problem in that squad. And this is some way to address that. He was very highly rated at Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp was a big fan of his. And they had a very sizable sell-on clause in the deal that saw him go to Salzburg. So they clearly knew he still had a lot of potential. For whatever reason, that move didn't seem to have worked out. Probably because it's a young lad moving to a foreign country. But he is still only 20. And under John Eustace, he's arguably got the best manager at this level for getting your career back on track. So a very exciting move. And it's hard to not start getting carried away with Derby and how they could do with this season, unless you're Justin Peach, of course. Derby have also signed Dion Sanderson, meaning he's reunited with John Eustace for the fourth time. Justin, does that one get you excited?
Yeah, sort of. There was Derby releasing clips all summer with their new signings, sort of one-word answers, and one of the questions is who's your best friend in football? And Dion Sanderson didn't say John Eustace.
Outrageous.
Yeah, disgusting.
Lack of respect. It's proper becoming Paddy Kenny Neil Warnock levels now, isn't it? Unbelievable. Right, ladies and gents, those have been our predictions for this forthcoming opening weekend of the Championship season. And that means it's time for this again.
All right. Settle down, you lot. It's time for the Craig Bryson pub quiz.
Yes, it is, Mr. Barman. It's back. It's the Craig Bryson pub quiz, and this is how it works. I'm going to give Justin 6 clues about a Championship player, past or present, each more revealing than the last, and he simply has to guess who that bugger is. They must have made over 200 Championship appearances in their career, and don't forget the Dexter Blackstock rule is in play. Justin, are you ready?
I think so. It's always weird going into these without a pre-season.
Like start of season rustiness. Is that what you're worried about?
So. Yeah. I've not been tested mentally for a long time. I've just been staring at walls all summer without any football.
Well, there you go. Let's see how this gets you going then. Let's go to your first clue, which is this. I have 206 appearances at Championship level, scoring just 2 goals.
Defender Nathan Byrne.
Nathan Byrne, good to hear him mentioned. Not sure he passes the Dexter Blackstock protocol, but it's not Nathan Byrne. Why are you saying that?
He's played for 2 clubs that have gone into administration. That's talking points, that is.
As I say, I'm not sure he passes the Dexter Blackstock protocol. If you chose him, I'd be fuming, put it that way. Next clue. I made my professional debut at the age of 16, becoming the second youngest player ever for Barnsley.
For Barnsley. At 16? Who's the youngest? Ruben Noble?
Noble Lazarus. How could we forget? Oh, that guy. I spent so much time on Football Manager as a kid signing him up just because I knew he was the youngest player ever in the history of the Football League. And now I think he's a builder at the age of 29, I think. Producer Tom, check that for me. He's definitely in construction of some sort. Some sort.
Yeah, that'll take old producer Tom a while to find that one out. But all that did was buy me time.
Yep.
So I don't know. Next clue,
please. Great. It brought you all that time and you didn't use it. Right, this is your third clue. At Championship level, I've played for 5 different clubs, including the aforementioned Barnsley, Ipswich, and Luton. Obviously left out a couple of clubs there.
All towns.
There you go.
There's something in that. Barnsley, Ipswich, and Luton. Danny Haynes? No, 2 goals. Oh, what an idiot.
That's the problem with this game when you instantly remember something after you've mentioned a clue. It's not Danny Haynes, but always good to hear him mentioned. Clue 4, Justin. In 2017, I moved to Aston Villa for £3 million.
Oh, James Bree.
Oh, he's got it, ladies and gents. Expertly done from Justin Peach there. What made things click in your mind, Justin?
It was the move to the Premier League, and obviously remembering he played for Luton. He was really good at
Premier League.
He moved to Southampton, didn't he?
Oh, I didn't even mention Southampton.
What clue did you give me then?
I moved to Aston Villa for £3 million in 2017.
I just blanked out on that
one. Do you want the other 2 clues?
Yeah, go on.
The 5th clue, I will be playing in the Championship this coming season, but I'm now almost unrecognisable after shaving my head in pre-season. Have you seen that?
I have seen it, yeah. He does look good.
He looks like Will Smallbone when you see him on the camera. Okay. It's very confusing, even though Will Smallbone now has hair as well. So, yeah, just to really confuse everyone. And the final clue, cheese.
Brie.
Just cheese, yeah.
Just cheese.
If you didn't get it off that, I would have been very disappointed. The thing that surprised me, though, I was stunned when I saw he had 206 appearances at Championship level. Surprised he's tallied up that much, and also just 2 goals. I always associate him as being pretty good at the old set pieces.
Very good at crossing the ball. He scored that free kick. Was that for Luton?
Yes, that's my lasting memory of James Bree. He scored a stunning free kick for Luton against Hull, I think. But that was a proper stunner. That was. Good player, though. Very good
player. And I'd be surprised. Russell Martin didn't really fancy him, which again I'm surprised with because James
Bree Kyle Walker-Peters instead of him, which is pretty good player to be behind, isn't it?
Well, that's your opinion, Ryan. I disagree with it politely. I'd sign James Bree over Kyle Walker-Peters any day.
He is trying to be funny, ladies and gents, but he's not very funny, is he? So there you go, ladies and gents. James Bree, this week's Craig Bryson pub quiz, and the first Craig Bryson pub quiz of the season. But this has been the preview show on the Second Tier podcast, looking at the opening weekend of the Championship season. And we'll be back again on Sunday with a roundup of everything cracking off from across the Championship. So we look forward to seeing you then for that. But this has been the Second Tier podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks.
I've been Justin Peach.
And a big thank you for listening.